Let's pick up again from the end of the 6th Perek, from the 11th Mishnah. So again, I think it was a little bit unclear yesterday about Surya. So Surya is the area. It's a little bit northeast of Eretz Yisrael proper. That area, on a deraisa level and a Torah level, does not have the sanctity of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Since the times of Chorban Bayis Rishon, since the destruction of the first temple, it's lost its status. But since it had that status, it has a rabbinic status of being obligated in everything that is obligated in Eretz Yisrael. So produce that grow there are obligated on a rabbinic level in Meiser. However, produce that are sold there are not assumed to be obligated in Meiser because a large percentage of the produce available in Surya came from outside of Eretz Yisrael. Okay. Which leads to this Mishnah that Hamecher Peris B'Surya, someone who's selling fruits in Surya, so normally you would assume that they're not from Eretz Yisrael and you would not have any Meiser problems. V'Omer Mishar Eretz Yisrael, and he tells you, no, these fruits, I imported them from Israel. So then, Chayav Lasser. So he told you they're from Eretz Yisrael, so you've got to assume they came from Eretz Yisrael. And if you don't trust him that he took off Meiser on his own, you're going to have to take off Meiser. However, if he tells you Musarenheim that they're from Eretz Yisrael and I took off and Meiser was separated properly, then when he's believed because of this rule, Shapesh Asr, that the mouth, that the source of the Isser, who Apesh Hitter, that same person told you that there's no problem. So if you're going to believe him there is a problem, believe him that it was fixed.
And that's a kind of principle.
Yes, that's a principle that's applied very broadly.
Right.
We're just right here. We're talking about Demai, so we're putting it in that consequence. But yes, so
if you didn't lie about that, you probably didn't lie about this.
If he says Mishalihain, if he tells you that they're his produce, so that they grew in Surya now, so again Chayav Lasser, you'd have to take off Meiser. If he tells you Musarenheim that they're my produce and I took off Meiser, again he's Neman Shapesh Asr, because it's the same person told you that they're local Paris, who Apesh Hitter tells you that Meiser was taken. However, if you know this fellow has a field in Surya, then Chayav Lasser, then you have to take off Meiser, even if he tells you they're his and he took off Meiser, because here you already really had enough information without him to assume that they came from Surya. So that's something you would have assumed even if he didn't tell you. So now your source of information that it's Asr is your assumption, and then you're not going to believe him necessarily that he took off Meiser. Okay. Final Mishnah. Amaretz Shamar L'Chaver. If a Amaretz asks the Chaver, do me a favor, Kachli Agudas Yarek, when you're going to the store anyway, buy me a bunch of vegetables. Kachli Gluskin Echad, or you're going to the bakery anyway, buy me a loaf of bread. So no problem, Lekeach Stam, you could just buy, however, an extra one, Upater, and then you give him one, and you're exempt, you're not giving him of your things. So you're using his money to buy a loaf of bread for him. You don't have to take off Meiser, it's his problem. However, if him Amr Shali Zeh, if when you go to the bakery, you say, I'll buy this one for myself and that one for him. When then they get mixed up, now you're in trouble. Now, Chayav La'asr, you do have to take off Meiser before you give him a loaf of bread, because you might be exchanging the loaf that you purchased for him with the loaf that you purchased for yourself, and then you'd be giving him your bread in exchange for his bread, and you can't give him something of yours unless you take off Meiser. It doesn't matter how many loaves of bread there are, you're going to have the same problem. Even if he asks you to pick up 100 loaves of bread for himself, you're going to have to take Meiser from all of them before you can give them to him. Okay, that's the 6th Perek. Then the 7th Perek begins, if someone invites you to come eat by him. Someone invites you over. Someone invites his friend over. The guest doesn't trust Alamaiser. He doesn't trust his host about Maisris. And he's invited for Shabbos. So he can't take off Meiser on Shabbos. So Omer Me'erev Shabbos, you say Friday afternoon, the portion of food that I'm going to separate tomorrow, Harehu Meiser.
He does that in his own home.
No, he's gonna say. He says, "I'm gonna come." Right, we'll give. Right, the guest is gonna come to the host's house. He says, "I'm gonna leave over some food on my plate." So he says, "Now on Erev Shabbos, that food that I'm going to leave over on Shabbos afternoon, that should be Meiser.
Okay.
V'shar Meiser samach lo, the rest of the Meiser is next to it, or on the plate, wherever it's going to be. And then Zesh Asisi Meiser, that amount that I moved over and is Meiser, Asisi Trumas Meiser love, that should now become the Trumas Meiser. Umeiser Sheni B'tzvaina, and the Meiser Sheni should be on the north side of the plate, or the south side of the plate, whichever one. Mechal Almos, and here's some money. I'm redeeming the Meiser Sheni on money. So what he does is, he says the same formula you would say when you're actually fixing the Demai, except he says it on Erev Shabbos for what he's going to do on Shabbos, that I'm making it Meiser now for when I separate it then.
So it's going
Slow
to
down.
get a little weird because it's like,
Yeah.
because he can't do it. He can't separate because
he
the
doesn't-
challah is sitting over on the table.
Right. So it's about, we'll do one more Mishnah and then we'll discuss it more, because the next Mishnah is even more interesting. Mishnah Beis is Moiz G'lois HaKais. He pours you a cup of wine, which again has the same problem. So Omer, he says, Mashani Asid L'Shayir B'Shuli HaKais. The little bit of liquid that I'm going to leave over in the bottom of the cup. Harihu Meiser, that should be Meiser. V'Shar Meiser Samachlu, the rest of the Meiser should be near it, whatever liquid is near it. And Zesh Asisi Meiser, that little bit that I left in the bottom of the cup, that for Meiser, Asisi Trumas Meiser, love, I'm going to make that Trumas Meiser. Meiser Sheni B'Fiv, and the Meiser Sheni should be on the top of the cup. Machal Alamos, and I'll redeem the Meiser Sheni and money. And then again, he's going to drink the whole cup and leave 1% at the bottom as Trumas Meiser. And right, again, it's the exact same setup. Right, so what the Mishnah is saying over here is that I can use a concept which is called Brera, which means it means determination. But I'm going to make a statement now that's unknown what it means. Meaning, right now, which 1% of the cup is going to be left at the bottom of the cup when I drink it is not determined. It's not determined till it happens. But for things that are only rabbinic, we generally allow it. So since this is Demai, it's only a rabbinic obligation to take off these Trumas and Meisers. So we would allow you to say that I'm making now Meiser whatever will end up in the bottom of the cup on Shabbos afternoon after I drink most of it. And right, the other 9%, the other 9% of the Meiser, I never knew where it was, really. It's whatever was next to what's at the bottom of the cup then. So
And then he gives money for then
the Meiser Sheni, I said whatever's going to be on the top of the cup should be the Meiser Sheni, and I'm redeeming it on this money.
on this
and the
money
money I
put it
have.
right here.
Right.
Put the money right there.
But Dafka, he leaves some wine in the cup.
And he dafka has to leave that 1% in the cup because that's his Trumas Meiser. He's now you're not allowed to eat.
That could offend, my...
It's 1%. He won't notice so much.
Oh, you won't, okay.
Meaning it's something, but it's really not very significant.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, we'll do that again on
Well,
Sunday.
that's very interesting.